He was once in the infantry, and now he's on Horry County Council and teaching at Horry Georgetown Tech. Who is he? You'll find out coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Georgetown campus of Horry Georgetown Technical College. We're focused on community service, and we're visiting with County Councilman John Boyd. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for coming in. Of course, we're in Georgetown. When we're talking about County Council, we're talking about Horry County Council. So it's a little difficult to be out of zone, but of course you're very active at Horry Georgetown Tech.
Yes.
Which helps out a little bit. How long have you been associated with Horry Georgetown?
I've been full-time with Horry Georgetown Tech for a little over 5 years now.
Okay.
And then I taught part-time for about 6-7 years before that.
Is that right?
Yes.
So you've been in Horry County a good bit.
Yes, I've been in Horry County since 1992.
Okay. Real quick about yourself. Are you originally from the Carolinas?
I'm originally from Wisconsin, and then I spent several years in the Army as an Army infantry officer, and then my wife is from Aynor, and so when we got out, we moved back to Aynor.
Yeah. Had you visited Aynor much while you were in the military?
Yes, I did. It was such a wonderful community. I just loved it there.
Yeah, yeah. Your wife is a native of Aynor.
Yes.
Well, it is a great area. I was with somebody, one of our guests last week was from Aynor, and spending time talking about going up there still on a regular basis. And of course, Tammy Eames from the Heart Association. It's amazing hearing her talk about the commitment in Aynor to the community.
Well, Aynor's a wonderful community, and the people are very committed to the area. Mm-hmm. And so I just love it there.
When were you elected to county council?
It was almost 2 years ago now.
Okay. What was that like running for office? Was that your first campaign for office?
Yes, it was, and it was a very challenging campaign because, of course, I had a primary, and I also ran against an incumbent during the general election. And I hit pretty close to 3,000 homes going door to door throughout the district during that campaign. So I got to know a lot of people while I was running.
Share with the viewers, of course, you know the bulk of our viewers are in the PD in southeastern North Carolina, but for viewers who may not be familiar with District 11, which you serve, what area would that cover? Primarily just the greater Aynor area?
No, it covers a pretty large area. It's the second largest district in the county. And so it covers all the way from the Brownway area all the way up almost to the Highway 9.
Okay. Golly, so a huge...
big area. And then all the way towards almost to Conway. It goes to the Walmart in Conway.
In Conway. Well, that's a good designation point that a lot of folks should know, passing there on a regular basis. That's at Culture Road. Is that the road up there?
Yes.
Okay. You know, community service is such a big commitment, John. When you think about the time amount that you provide to Horry Georgetown Tech on a regular basis, there is still the very large component of time that's dedicated to county council. When you think about the breakdown in time, about how much time is dedicated to county council matters?
Well, I spend quite a bit of time, but most of that time's at night and on weekends, and it was, along with a little bit of time during the week on committee meetings. But yes, it takes a substantial amount of time, but a lot of the time is spent responding to citizens who have problems or concerns or complaints. And so you spend a lot of time on the phone. You spend a lot of time visiting with people to try to resolve their issues.
And obviously in the classroom, you're spending a lot of time with folks on similar matter. I mean, a lot of folks who may not understand a subject. I mean, you're outside of the classroom. You also spend a heck of a lot of time. Outside
the classroom, we have almost 200 students in the criminal justice program, and it takes a lot of time when you're dealing with career and counseling and advisement. So it takes a lot of time.
What do you think got you interested in criminal justice?
That's been my interest since high school, and so it's just been, and it was my degrees. So,
So and in the military, was there any potential tie-in? Had you thought about getting into, let's say, the JAG Corps? You thought about going to law school? And
I was an infantry officer, but I spent a lot of time dealing with counterterrorism, and so a lot of my military time was in areas that dealt with a strong terrorist area, teaching counterterrorism. I taught for 6 years, So there's a tight link there.
When a viewer hears the word counterterrorism, what do you think most folks normally think of?
Well, counterterrorism is taking preventative actions to not be a terrorist target.
And of course, in our area, are there things that viewers would need to think about in Hartsville, let's say, or up in Marion County, or down here in Horry County?
Well, all the areas, and for example, Horry County, we have a list of possible targets that would be very vulnerable and put us in a bad situation. I'm not going to mention what those are, but
no.
Certainly, counterterrorism is important to everybody.
Yeah, it's amazing when you think about it. Of course, we hear about terrorism, and there was a lot of issues. Last week, I think, in last Thursday's newspaper, there was a front page piece about some terrorists going through the metal detectors, scheduled to get on a plane that ended up flying into the Pentagon. And of course, so many issues just thinking about that. There's a real active center on law ethics and national security at Duke Law School that gets into a heck of a lot of issues with terrorism and counterterrorism. They're putting on a big conference next month. And it's amazing hearing about all the facets that both the military's thinking about as well as civilians like yourself. Do you interface a lot with the military still?
No, not much.
Okay.
I'm just out of that circle now.
How many folks are in the criminal justice department at Horry Georgetown Tech?
Well, we have about 200 students,
Right.
And then 2 full-time faculty.
2 full-time faculty. Do you also have a program with with another university down in Charleston, maybe, that comes up?
Yes, Charleston Southern. We have a program with them, and the students can finish our 2 years and go straight into Charleston Southern at the Grand Strand campus at the air base. So they don't have to never leave the area. They can come in. It's almost a seamless transition.
Right.
And they can finish with a 4-year degree in criminal justice or criminal justice technology.
Okay. And when someone hears criminal justice technology, what does that mean?
You're dealing a little bit more with the technology aspect, computer type aspects of criminal justice. And we're working with them now. Hopefully in the next year or two, we'll also have the master's program here for criminal justice.
That'd be great. That would be great. Horry Georgetown Tech is cutting edge, John. Really cutting edge. Of course, part of the big thrill was last Thursday we saw you as you just joined the Horry Georgetown Technical College Foundation as the faculty representative on the foundation board, and I think you made a little presentation to the foundation about your recent trip to Oxford, I think returning last week.
Yes, I was selected to attend the Oxford Roundtable, and the foundation sponsored that trip. And the Roundtable is in Oxford, England, and it's a education think tank is probably the best way to describe it. They invited 50 members from the UK and the United States, combined total of 50 members, and we discussed issues. This roundtable, the main focus was on student retention. Retaining the students that you have, and putting the focus on that. And so it was a very enlightening and very good event.
How did you get invited, John?
They don't say who invites you. They have a committee that looks at different people. I've done presentations at a couple areas in a couple locations, and people recommend, but they invite 50, and from again around the country. There was some Ivy League. There was an Ivy League school there. Schools from California, major universities. I was the only 2-year college representative there.
Only of the 50?
Of the 50.
I think I also saw you were one of 16 to present a paper.
Right. We were asked to go ahead and give a topic as well as a short information piece on the topic. And then they selected 16 presentations that flowed with the major topic. And so I was one of those 16.
Give the viewers a sense of what the surroundings here. You say you're in Oxford, England. Was this a special setting just for y'all, or was this a setting that a lot of people would be possibly familiar with?
Well, Oxford, of course, is the university, and it's also the town. The university controls the town, and it's made up of 39 separate colleges.
Is that right?
And each college is where the students live, go to school, and everything. And we presented in a place called the Oxford Union, which is where all the great debates at Oxford have taken place. And we presented behind a podium that was that was given to Oxford from the Parliament. So it was a podium that men like Winston Churchill had spoke behind.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but the history there, when you talk about all the people in history that have been there and the names, and it's just a tremendous experience.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you said you were the only representative from a two-year school.
Yes.
So there, I think, in thinking about that, there's obviously some of the issues with a four-year school. You oftentimes have students living on campus, wherein with a two-year school, you've got folks who are already in the community, who are making a commitment to further their education, but aren't necessarily in a residential setting. What was that like in comparing and contrasting some of the differences there for you all?
Well, we found that we have a lot of the same problems. Even the residential colleges, only a certain portion, sometimes only 10% of the students actually live on campus. And so reaching that other 90% is a challenge to them. And the beginning of the presentations at Oxford really focused on residential programs. And the concern started to become, well, what about all the other students? And so then, about that time, I came in with my presentation, which fit just perfect with the whole scenario. Mm-hmm. So it was very good. We found that whether you're an Ivy League school in the Northeast, or a 30,000 student school in California, or a technical college in South Carolina, we all shared the same concerns and problems, and we addressed a lot of those problems at this roundtable.
And bringing student and academic affairs together for a common cause,
right,
was really, I guess, much of the theme of the...
And it's a major challenge, because you have people who have grown up on academics, people who've grown up on student affairs, and oftentimes it's challenging to get those two on the same sheet of music.
Mm-hmm. John, when you think about, of course, right now I think you're in the middle of your dissertation, is that correct?
I've got one more class to finish and do my comps this fall, and I've written the first 3 chapters of my dissertation, although they're not fully revised. Right. But yes, I'm in the middle of that process.
You mind sharing with the viewers what you're focused on?
My dissertation is focused on the 2-year technical colleges in South Carolina and the foundations and fundraising techniques that are successful, and how and what practices that the colleges here use, and look at the successes and try to hopefully get information that will benefit Horry Georgetown Technical College.
Oh yeah, and you're focused on educational foundations for the 16, do all 16 of the technical colleges around the state have educational foundations?
All 16 have foundations. Their success varies quite widely. And so what I'm looking at is probably case studies, taking a very successful foundation and one that's not so successful, and then looking at techniques that are established techniques that are proven to be successful or to lead to successful fundraising, and then compare those schools with those techniques.
Okay. What are some of the early feels you're getting? I know you're only 3 chapters in, but to share with the viewers a little about some of the excitement. Obviously, you talked a little bit when we were discussing the upcoming website for the launch of the foundation last week. We were able to hear you talk a little bit about some of the ideas of really looking forward. Websites are part and parcel of what happens, but establishing a vision was something you talked about.
Yeah, it's important to establish a vision that you present to the community, and that the community understands exactly what the fundraising is going to be, what the mission of the colleges are, and what money is going to be used for. And once that is presented, most of the time people will buy into that, and it opens up a complete new door for fundraising. You know, you set your strategic plan based upon your strategic vision, and then you focus on presenting that both within the faculty, within the college, within the foundation, and out within the community. And by doing that, people feel tied to the college, and it opens up a lot of doors. Greenville Technical College has done that very successfully. They started out by doing a survey in the area to find out what it was the people would be willing to donate to.
Right.
And that's very important. And so I feel lucky to be on the foundation to try to bring some of that research to the foundation to hopefully help us out.
Now, John, when you decided a few years ago to run for office, was some of that in your mind? I mean, did you get an early feel of some similar things to let the community know, give them your vision a little bit, to see if they'd wrap around you as you're running for office and even donate to your campaign?
Yeah, I did, And one of the things that I discussed on council about 2 months ago was the need for the county to create a strategic vision, and to create a vision that we can then do strategic planning to accomplish. We're doing that right now. I chair the Public Safety Committee. We're doing that right now with the Public Safety Committee, and that starting next fiscal year, we hope to be into 3 separate precincts, so that we have 3 precincts around the county, and a precinct will then be dedicated to the area, to the people within that precinct. We're going to do the same with fire, and that's part of a strategic vision. But I've challenged council, and I'm going to work hard on that in the next few months to help do some surveys in the community, see what services Horry County citizens want versus what they're willing to pay for through their tax base, and then help to put together a strategic plan for the county so that we have a vision, so that we know where we're going. If you don't know where you're going, you can never get there.
Tough to get there. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, that's so exciting. And Paul Gable did a great piece on that. It was a front-page story I saw in the Herald, as you said, a couple of months ago, where he was outlining a little bit of the outline you provided to council about really a need to establish a vision.
Right. If we have a vision, and it's based upon what the people of Horry County want through surveys, then we'll know whether or not they're willing to pay more for trash,
right,
or if they want us to cut services. We'll know if they're willing to pay more for police, or if they're satisfied with the services given their tax base right now. It's important, I believe, that we base this upon the wants and the needs of the community. And so I think that the initial part of surveying is going to be important. And I think we can do that in-house. I don't see any need in spending money to go out and have someone come in and do surveys. And I believe the same thing with the foundation of the college, and the college in understanding what it is that people want for this area, what they'll support, and then focusing on that.
You highlighted a foundation, I think over a 6 or 7 year period, raised $16 million there in Greenville.
Greenville raised over a 6-year period, they raised $17 million. Their initial, based upon their initial surveys, their initial plan was a 5-year program to raise $8 million. They adjusted it twice and added a year and went all the way up to $17 million. And they did that based upon a strategic plan.
Now, how were they able to go out and solicit needs of the community and do it in a low-cost fashion? I know you talked about it within council. You think you can virtually do it very reasonably without spending a lot of money. Of course, we want to be able to do that for the foundation. How did Greenville find a way to do it?
Well, Greenville actually hired an outside agency to come in. I think that a lot of this we can do through our institutional research. As far as the county goes, we've already got a base. We did a study about 3 years ago that asked a lot of questions. What we didn't do was ask those questions to see if and connect the money with the services. People oftentimes want services, but when you add in, but what are you willing to pay for? Right. What level are you willing to spend? How much tax base will you be willing to pay for that service? That adds a complete different diameter to the question. So the survey, the basic questions are already there. It's a matter of adding in that component that deals with the budget. So I think we can do that in-house.
Of course, as I said earlier, the bulk of our viewers in the PD, still a heck of a lot, a third are in Horry County, and obviously a lot here in Georgetown that get our signal. When we talk about in Horry County, I mean, what someone may be willing to some needs someone may have in Aner or up on Culture Road may be different than what someone would have in Loris or in North Myrtle Beach, for instance. How do you get everyone working on the same page?
Well, I think this council is very good at that. We all understand that each of us have peculiar needs, and so we work very well together. I'm very pleased with the members that I'm working with on Horry County Council. So, but sometimes you have to understand that there are different needs, and it may be that on some issues, zoning issues or building codes, that we need to look at possibly creating zones within the county so that we have separate demands, because frankly the hurricane force winds aren't going to be the same in Gallivan's Ferry as they are on Ocean Boulevard.
Right. That's a very good point. John, having grown up in Wisconsin and now living in Aner and obviously spending a lot of time on the roads, being here this morning early on a little south of the city of Georgetown. When you think about growing up in Wisconsin, are there some aspects of your youth that help you focus these days?
I grew up on a farm, and it's a farm in southwest Wisconsin is really no different than a farm in Horry County. You know, you learn good common sense, and you learn to work hard. It develops a good work ethic, and so I think that my youth prepared me well for what I'm doing today.
You still have family in Wisconsin?
Yes, I do.
Do you get back there much?
Not very often. No, I don't. I just don't. My schedule is such that I just don't.
Slammed, absolutely. Before we started, when I was mentioning you're the chair of the criminal justice program at Horry Georgetown, you also mentioned that there's a heck of a lot of other aspects to just that. What would some of those be for viewers who may not be familiar in the program?
Okay, well, we've got the criminal justice program. We also have a fire science certificate degree. We have a human services degree program that this was the first year of the program, so it's just gotten off the ground. And starting this fall, we have a new paramedic degree, a 2-year EMT program. So we'll be teaching people for paramedics. That is to help serve a very big need in this region. Horry and Georgetown County both have a shortage in EMT paramedics. So it's to help service that need, but it's going to be a brand new program. We're excited about it. It's going to be a good program.
That's exciting, absolutely. When you think about, of course, your time in front of council, when you're visiting and as you're talking with other council members, going into some of the needs, and of course, you're talking about Horry Georgetown Tech. When you think about some of the needs in the individual communities and working together and establishing, as you said, really working to provide that vision going forward, how do you all communicate when you break down the issues indicative of your community? I know recently, I think it was a couple weeks ago, seeing you talking about, as it related to a principal there in Aner, I think, talking on behalf of a principal, an indicative need right in that community, but trying to get out and make sure it was broadcast all over the county.
Yes, we have been in an issue with the school board on that, concerning the Aner principal. And I've gotten a lot of support from around the county because that principal also has quite a name in not just Aner, but the Horry County. And he was a Palmetto Award winner for the school. He was the school administrator of the year. I mean, he just has a tremendous name.
Obviously, seeing you get out and not only representing the community there in Aner, but having to speak as a councilman, at times it's difficult to wear, and of course speaking as chair of the Criminal Justice Department there at Horry Georgetown, as well as so many of the other activities you're involved in, it can be difficult at times wearing multiple hats.
It can be, but you know, it's a set of hats I've chose to wear, and so I do the best I can and try to serve my people well, whether it's as chair of criminal justice or councilman or citizen of Aner.
Well, when you decided to run for office, John, did you ever imagine that there would be issues wearing multiple hats that you'd have to think about and think through?
Well, it was a tough decision to run, and I ran because I just felt that we needed a strong voice on council, that the West needed to have a strong representative out there fighting for the West, and that's why I ran.
The criminal justice program is primarily based on the Grand Strand campus, though, isn't it?
My office is on the Grand Strand campus, although our program is in North Myrtle Beach, it's in Conway, it's in Georgetown, but my office in the main headquarters is
still on the Conway campus, sure.
Is on the Grand Strand campus.
Oh, it's the Grand Strand campus, excuse me. Now, and do y'all teach some of those classes down here in Georgetown as well?
We do. We teach in Georgetown mostly at night. We teach at Conway mostly during the day, and we teach at North Myrtle Beach mostly at night.
Visiting the campus and visiting the classrooms here, for instance, in the Georgetown campus, seeing, and I'm sure they must be the same at the Grand Strand and Conway campus, with some of the virtual classrooms throughout the area are incredible.
They are, and they're a wonderful teaching aid. And you can bring a screen up from the internet and show and bring it up and show on a screen if you're trying to get into to show them a certain site. Like if you want to get into the current statistics on Department of Corrections, you can bring that up from the website.
Oh yeah, it is incredible.
Yes, it's very good. And Criminal Justice Center at the air base is a little bit different. We have our own facility there. It's a Criminal Justice Center. We have a full-court gym, We have the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club with us. This summer they've got 120 kids in the program.
Wow.
We have, of course, Charleston Southern in there with us, and we also have the Highway Patrol in there. They've got a little substation in there. They come in and do the reports on the computer. Horry County uses a lot for training. Horry County Parks and Recreation uses the basketball court to be able to offer to children in that area, as well as adults, a basketball league. It's just a lot of things going on in that center.
That's wonderful. John, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Okay, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the Honorable John Boyd coming up next. Although we ran out of time before having a chance to talk about him founding the Beaver program here in the state of South Carolina in 1992, something that still goes on today. We were able to talk about growing up on a farm in Wisconsin, getting in the Army, obviously serving his country for a heck of a long time and serving it well, and then now moving to Aner since 1992 and now committing himself to community service on the Horry County Council, committing himself to serving students at Horry Georgetown Tech, and obviously committing to work with the academia and students to bring them together for a common cause. John Boyd, thanks for being with us.